Yes.
Which is always a good thing.
I'm still trying to, learn to, cope with that, because...
It's an important skill. I would say, if I ever had to give anybody advice, just general life advice, learn to agree to disagree, because you're not always going to convince people of your way of thinking.
Right.
And that's just a lifelong thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, it takes me a little bit longer sometimes to, understand why things are, and that's because of certain learning differences that I have.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about that before. And
yes.
I mean, there's some things you can't control.
Exactly.
But there's also other things you can work on, right?
Correct.
I mean, there's both. Because I have issues too, but there's things I can do to, make them better. And I'm sure you have the same thing.
Exactly.
Anyways, before we get all the way off topic.
I know, and go into, a full-blown therapy session.
No. We don't usually do therapy here, but I mean, we'll try anything once.
Yeah. If it works, it works, right?
Yes. This is SplitView. Today is November 16th, 2021, and this is the fourth episode of our second season. We've been doing this for a while now. We are broadcasting out of the Ohio Media School, where Josh is still a student. I graduated a couple months ago. We actually get to walk next week.
Or I think it's this week.
Well, this week, yeah. That's I'm still stuck on thinking it's the weekend. Friday we walk. Today's Tuesday, isn't it?
Yes.
Man, why else would I be here?
Exactly.
Sheesh.
Well, the other reason you would be here is for tomorrow's show, So What's the Catch on All Sports Cleveland.
I know. I'm still thinking it's the weekend for some reason.
Yeah.
Man, my days have been all messed up lately. But we like to start off the show in this first segment. Normally, later on in the show, we'll get into U.S. news, local news, and we like to end it with a conspiracy segment.
Or just some bizarre story.
Yeah, or some bizarre story, or whatever, honestly. But to start the show, we usually talk about how the past week was going. And one of the reasons I was late today, it's been a pretty normal week. Let me start by saying that. I played a lot of guitar. I've been babysitting my granddaughter a lot. But today, and here's a situation where, I can point out differences for you and me. And I'm making an assumption here, Josh, so you're going to have to tell me if I'm right or not.
Sure.
But I'm assuming that you guys own the house you live in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
We pay rent, and we rent. And it's a fairly nice place. It's a big house that's kind of cut in half, and the front half of it is split into different rooms that people rent out, and the back half is its own apartment. So we got 2 bathrooms, a bedroom, a living room, kitchen. I
have never heard of this.
It's very bizarrely how they split it up.
Is it like a townhouse?
I guess you could call it that. I mean, usually you see houses that are split upside or up and down. This is kind of like that, only it's front and back. And there's there's a division halfway through the house, there's walls, and that's kind of how they have it set up.
I'm trying to wrap my head around what you're saying.
You'd have to see it.
Yeah.
But the point being that we pay rent, and we enjoy where we live. We've actually lived in the same house for a couple of years now.
That's fantastic.
But the owners are selling it. And we're not exactly sure what's going to happen, but they've been showing the house to people who might be interested in buying it. What we're hoping is that another realtor buys it and continues to rent it to us. And a couple looked at it today, so that's one of the things I had going on.
Mm-hmm.
Where I didn't they were supposed to show up at 1 and they didn't show up till 1:30. And I was thinking about this on the ride up, and it's kind of funny. I can't stand when people are late, but I'm almost always late to everything.
I mean, we made it a running joke on our other show, So What's the Catch, that when you come up or come into the studio while the show is happening, you're just on Kramer time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much always late. I have, I was mentioning this last week, I always have good intentions. Today I woke up early and I was all ready to go, but I thought these people were going to be here right at 1. Instead, it was 1:30, and like I said, it messed everything up. Oh, well. I guess that gave you time to deal with whatever you were dealing with.
Yeah.
So how was your... Well, okay, and the other thing I just want to mention briefly with guitar. Because you asked me when you came in how I've been, and I told you I've been playing guitar a lot. And you were mentioning you need to get back into that. Well, when it comes to guitar, The longer I've been clean now, and I just passed 2 years.
Congratulations on that again.
Yeah, thank you. But the longer I've been clean now, the more like I've really started to fall in love with guitar again, and just music in general.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to listen more to blues and like guitar-oriented music that I wasn't before.
Why do you think that is?
When I was in like my drug addiction, I actually listened to a lot of rap. And I've talked to my psychiatrist about this. It really came down to like rap, at least the rap I was listening to was like angry music, and like pissed off at the world music. And when I was going through that, that's kind of how I felt.
Is that because like you were mad at everybody or what?
I mean, really, I was mad at myself, but when you're in the middle of it, it's easier to point that outwards. You don't want to think about it, So just listening to angry, I don't give an F music was kind of what I was listening to back then, which really isn't like what I grew up listening to. I grew up with my dad and like classic rock, and then I kind of got into like heavy metal and blues. But then after, I was an adult, it was rap. Point being, nowadays it's all kind of blues. And on the ride up here, I was listening to like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I've actually started to find some new blues musicians that I'm really into. One's a guy, big black dude, calls himself Kingfish. Amazing guitar player. You should definitely check him out if you're into this kind of stuff. And a band I found called Gangsta Grass, which is half rap, half bluegrass.
I have never heard of these people or bands.
Look, when I saw this, I was like, this is going to be horrible. But I listened to it, and it was really good. And I actually have like a little secret love of bluegrass. It's not something I listen to a lot, but if I hear it, like if I'm at a county fair and somebody's playing it, I actually kind of like it.
Okay.
It has a lot of guitar in it usually, or a lot of band. It sounds cool to me.
Yeah, I get that.
So they were doing like this mix of rap and bluegrass, and I ended up like jamming that the whole way up here. And with all this music and new influences I've been bringing in, like it's really motivated me to want to play guitar more. Even like I've been practicing for the longest time, I was using my acoustic only because it's easier to learn on that.
Oh, you have an electric too?
Yeah, lately I've been using my electric, trying to use that more because it's honestly a whole different ball game.
So when you, obviously you have an amp, because...
Yeah, I have an amp. Not a big amp, but I got a little amp.
Okay. Is one of the knobs on your amp, does one of the knobs on your amp allow you to like use effects?
Oh yeah. It's a pretty decent little amp. Like it's a 40 watt, but it has the whole interface that has like 32 preset effects. So like it'll have a name, like the one I usually keep it on is Dreamy Clean, which is like a clean sound but with like wah wah on it.
Yeah.
And if you're not a guitar nerd, you're probably listening to this like, what?
Yeah.
But anyways, the point is I have a bunch of effects on there. And I have like different, like just on the knobs alone I have, like distortion, wah, reverb.
Yeah, I have like one knob on my amp that can, so it gives me like basic effects. I have like a pretty basic amp.
You can also get an effects board that has all the different effects on it.
Yeah.
I never really liked buying individual effect pedals because it didn't seem worth the money to me when you can buy a board that'll have like 50 different sounds on it.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. And this is where you and I kind of differentiate when it comes to playing guitar, and it's kind of fitting that we're talking about playing guitar since we're in North Coast Underground.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
But, you've always said that, like, you try to memorize the songs and all that.
As best I can. I mean, I follow tabs. Usually what I'll do is I'll take a song, and the app I have allows me to slow it down and play it real slow, and I'll try to memorize it from that so then I can play it at full speed.
Yeah. Whereas, I don't know what it is, but I prefer to have the sheet music in front of me so I can play along with it. I don't like to memorize the songs, and I wish I could tell you why that is, but I don't know. It's just how I've always operated.
And it could just be a learning curve, too. I grew up with my dad teaching me a lot of the basics on guitar, and I never actually had lessons. And this app I just got called Youzician. It's Youzician.
I'll have to look at it.
What I was going to say is you definitely need to look into this. It costs, there's like a free version, a premium version. I would say get the premium version because it's like $150, but that's for a year. and it's unlimited lessons, and they have videos with instructors that show you how to do stuff, and they also, like, you can play along with the songs and turn the mic on your phone, and it listens to you playing and tells you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong and how to fix it.
That's amazing.
It's been great. It's been life-changing, honestly. Like, I need to, I bought it last year right around this time, and it runs out November 30th. I need to renew it because it fills up, like, hours of my day every day, and this is another reason I've really enjoyed playing guitar.
Yeah, I did take guitar lessons, and my first guitar teacher actually ended up moving to Seattle, and then my second one, lessons just kind of fizzled out towards the end.
And that's what I like about this. If you're anything like me, I'm not always a people person. You know, like, there's certain people I can deal with being around. You're one of them. And that's only sometimes. I'm kidding.
I know.
But really, though, like, when it comes to a guitar teacher, I may or may not get along with that person.
Oh, I got along with both of my guitar teachers, no problem. It was just that, like...
Or, like, even, like, scheduling and trying to figure out when to do it. It's just... This app makes all that so much more convenient.
Right, and, like, my second guitar teacher, like, he would sometimes be out of town because he would be touring with, like, a Broadway show, or, like, he would, like, a Broadway musical's, like, guitarist got sick and he needed to go fill in, so...
Well, you should definitely check out that app. It's just like musician, but you take out the MU and replace it with YOU.
I'm going to go on the App Store right now and look it up.
Anyways, we actually need to hit a break here in a second, and we don't take commercial breaks here on SplitView. We play local music and then come right back with more talk. And in our first break, you're going to listen to The Scenic Route do a song called This Girl Is Gone. It's a band I actually enjoy here locally. But first, one last thing that I like to do before we go to our first commercial or music break is do a personality question. And I found one today. I'm going to try not to go too long-winded on this because we're already up against it, but it asks what your greatest failure is and what did you learn from your greatest failure. And I always like to pick ones that make sense to me. And honestly, I kind of get a leg up on that because I get to pick them, you know. So, I mean, if you ever want to bring one, you can, Josh.
Wait, quick thing. Brian Fraley, who's also on So What's the Catch with us?
Yeah.
He just texted you and I. He's clearly listening to the show because he just texted us saying, I'm not always a people person. Kramer. I felt that one.
I mean, it's true. I need shirts that say that. I forgot where I was even going now.
Sorry.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about having a leg up on me.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I get to pick the questions. That's right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this particular question, the reason I picked it was, obviously I've had a lot of failures in my life, one of them being my addiction and, you know, my experiences with that. And obviously I was able to come out of that on the other side, or at least I have been for the past couple years. But I wanted to get even more specific, and what I can say specifically is that something that really bothered me, like back in 2012, I came home from my first prison term and I wanted to go to college, so I signed up for the Ohio Media School. I actually did all the paperwork and everything, and then I ended up relapsing, like a month before the classes were supposed to start, because back then they actually made you wait a couple months. This was, you got to remember, 10, 11 years ago.
Right.
So you had to wait a couple months to start, and by the time I was supposed to start, it was too late. And then not too long after that, I signed up for Akron College, Akron University, and I was actually a zip for 1 day. 1 day.
That's awesome.
And then I never went back. But I had, like, the zip card and everything. I used that for college discounts for, like, the next, well, to this day.
You little cheater.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to get in where you fit in, right? But yeah, so real quick though, do you have anything that you can pick
Failures.
out? Oh, but my point being that after all that, I was able to now go to Ohio Media School and graduate, and we are going to do our graduation Friday. So I felt like that's something specifically I can point to where I had something that failed, but I was able to stick to my guns and complete it.
Yeah. I totally see what you're saying. I'm trying to think. I guess it would be, like...
I have an idea if you don't.
Oh, I actually do.
But go ahead.
I'm trying...
No, what I'm saying is I have an idea for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The ESPN internship. And I know, what I'm saying is I know you've talked before about how, unfortunately, you had that internship during the pandemic. And because of that, it had to come to an end.
Right, way before I wanted it to, yeah.
And I'd say since then, you've worked hard to try to make up for that by doing internships here. And I know you're also still trying to get back in with ESPN.
Yes, I am.
It's a whole other thing. I'm actually working for them Sunday, but I'm still not technically hired in there.
Yeah.
I got to do the paperwork. Anyways, point being, you're trying your best.
Yeah.
But that's something I thought of.
So that's a good one. I didn't even initially think of that one, so thanks for that. But the other one I would say is, I've talked about how, like, terrified I am of fireworks and stuff. I would say,
Oh, yeah.
I've tried reading what the phobia is called. I think it's like pyrotechnophobia.
That would make sense.
Something along those lines.
And we've talked about it a few times, so yeah, it makes sense.
But, like, I've said, like, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to, watch the Indians home run fireworks or something like that. And then I get to the stadium, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. So that's an example of a failure. Or the other thing would be, like, along the same lines. Like, I'm going to a Cavs game. I'm going to stay in my seat during the intro. And then the intro's about to happen. Like, the swords are coming out of the Jumbotron where the fire shoots out. And the clock is ticking down. And I'm just like, nope, screw this. I'm out.
Well, then, real quick, is there anything you've learned from that helped you in the future? Maybe, because I know you've talked before about, like, there's certain times you feel more comfortable.
Right. I wish I could tell you what those times are.
Is it still kind of you're not sure?
Exactly.
And that's okay. You can say I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But, like, I've been to 2 Cavs games so far this season. They've gotten they still have the fire, but what they used to do is at the end of their intro, at the very, very end, they would have these, like, 3 loud blasts that would go off, and that's what really, like, freaked me out and all that.
So you know that maybe in the future that's one time to miss.
Right, but now they've gotten rid of those.
Oh.
So, like...
So they did it for you. Thank you, Cavs.
Yeah, thank you, Cavs. Because now I enjoy watching the intro. Like, I even freaking recorded it and posted it on my YouTube channel.
I saw that. But I thought that was an interesting question to start today.
Yeah.
If anybody out there listening has their own answers, you can always email it to us at splitview216, all lowercase, at gmail.com. But we're about to hit this first commercial break. We're actually a little late, but oh well.
Hey,
we're just
our
late.
first segment ran over.
We're
Why
on
not?
Kramer time.
Yes.
But we're going to take this break, music break. You're going to listen to The Scenic Route, do The Girl Is Gone. When we come back, we got U.S. news, updates on the Rittenhouse trial, Proud Boy leader saying he wants out of jail because the conditions are just so rough, and an intoxicated bus driver crash. More bad news, because, that's how the world rolls. But for now, we got at least some good music for you, and we will be
right back.
You're listening to Split View, and we will be right back.
Aggravation with the situation that you're falling into. You say you love her, always thinking of her. Wait till you find out what she's gonna do. You say she's perfect, you say she's worth it. You're saying how they playing house with you. So look at your eyes when you realize she's not gonna make your dreams come true. She goes, there she goes, there she goes. can do. She's going, 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 going. That girl is gone. Frustration, aggravation. This is how this is going down. You always put yourself out there. She's always letting you down. And you're a braver heart than I will ever be. So baby, let's face reality. Oh. That girl is well, there she goes, there she goes, there she goes. She's gone, but you can see there's some place she'd rather be. She's gone. I'm stuck here breaking the news, but there's nothing left that you can do. She's going, 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 going. That girl is gone. That girl is well, there she goes, there she goes, there she goes. But you can see there's some place she'd rather be. Stuck here breaking the news, but there's nothing left that you can do. She's going, 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 going. That girl is gone.
If you came here looking for Dwayne Johnson, that's the wrong kind of rock. NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with you.
Welcome back to Split View with Kramer and Josh.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Split View.
That was a very good way of saying it. Hey, by the way, do you know that I went 3-3 last week?
3-3 on picks.
No, when it comes to like the sports guides and stuff.
That's what I meant, on picks. Like
Oh.
picking on sports.
Oh yes.
So what was your 3 out of 3? You can't just leave us in
No,
suspense.
not 3 out of 3. My record was 3-3. Like I had 3 wins, 3 losses.
Oh, so you're 500?
Yes.
I don't know that that's something to be excited about.
After the week I had the week prior, yeah.
Well, give us a quick rundown. How are you 3-3?
So on Wednesday, the Cavs lost to the Pistons, so I went 0-1. Then on Saturday, I'm sorry, I'm getting this all turned around. Wednesday, the Cavs lost to the Wizards, so I went 0-1. Then on Friday, the Cleveland Charge, who are like the minor league affiliate of the Cavaliers,
Word.
beat the Windy City Bulls, the minor league affiliate of the Chicago Bulls.
Makes sense.
So I ended up going 1-1. Then the Cavs beat the Pistons, so I went 2-1. Then on Saturday, the Cavs beat the Celtics, 3-1. Sunday, Browns lost to the Patriots, 3-2. And then last night, the Cavs lost to the Celtics, so 3-3.
Well, Josh and I do this show here every week, and it's generally like variety talk and comedy But we also do tomorrow a sports podcast. And you mentioned earlier, Brian, one of our other dudes, is listening right now. We got a couple other guys we do it with. And, I'm sure tomorrow it's going to be a lot of frustrated Browns talk.
Yes.
And, I don't like to spend too much time on sports on this show, but just a quick aside, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But oh well. Another thing that's embarrassing is the action of a certain judge in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. I know how much do you follow stuff like this?
I hear about it now and then.
I'm sure you see it. Like, you're on Twitter. So I'm sure you see posts.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. So
Kyle Rittenhouse, this all goes back to Kenosha last year on August 25th when a black guy had been killed by a police officer. Then the police officers were let off. They said that they weren't going to charge him. And there were riots in Antioch, Illinois after that.
I wish I could say I'm surprised about that, but given how society is, I'm not.
The riots were actually in Kenosha. Kyle Rittenhouse lived in Antioch, which is about 20 miles from Kenosha. All right, and the kid's 17 years old, and he brought with him, and this was all in response to a call on Facebook he saw that said people needed to come there to protect businesses from these protesters. Well, he brought it on himself to bring a AR-15, I think. I got to make sure I'm right on this because people love to pick out like when you're wrong on minor things. But he had some kind of assault rifle, I'll put it that way. And he ended up killing 3 people. And he says it was all in self-defense. And there are pictures of 2 people were trying to fight him with their fists, and he ended up shooting them. And the issue with that is you're not allowed to defend with lethal force against something that's not a threat to your life. All right, so if somebody's just going to punch you, you can't shoot them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It has to be equal level, the response has to be equal to what happened.
So it's basically like that expression, never bring a knife to a gunfight.
It's very much like that. This guy brought a gun to what was a demonstration, and a lot of people like to point out that one of the people that he shot had a gun, had a pistol on him. That was actually the 3rd person, and it was after the other 2 were shot. He pulled out a pistol for protection at that point because Kyle Rittenhouse had already opened fire, and he ended up getting killed as well. What bothered me most about this is that, Kyle Rittenhouse gets a trial. He gets to go to a trial and have juries decide whether or not he's innocent or guilty. These people that he killed didn't get that, obviously. Kyle Rittenhouse made himself a vigilante and decided to make that call himself. So that's why he's in court right now. But you wouldn't think that because the right and the conservatives love to make him kind of a hero. And that's what they've been doing lately. And the judge in this case has been far from impartial. And I could get into a lot of stuff about that. But to keep it short, because we've already been running late, they're in deliberations now. They hit closing arguments yesterday, and it's gone to the jury now. They ended up dropping a charge yesterday, the judge did. He dropped a misdemeanor possession of a gun by a minor charge. And it was really strange because that was actually the strongest charge against him.
Yeah.
Like, nobody denied. He was 17 years old. He had a gun. He admits that much in open court. They dropped it because the judge was able to find some weird part of the statute that said that it only applied to hunting and if you're under 16 years old. And basically because of a mistake in the law was able to drop these charges for Rittenhouse.
That is bizarre.
And this is just one of many examples where he's inserted himself into the trial to try to help with the defense. And look,
Isn't that like illegal or something?
It's hard to say. Judges get a lot of discretion, I'll put it that way. And I'm sure whatever the verdict is in this case, which we'll know fairly soon, there's probably going to be appeals and there are going to be lawsuits. But during the trial, it's almost like the judge is a dictator. He can do whatever he wants, and then they can review it later in appeals court. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And I want to be really clear here. Like, I need to be careful when I'm treading on politics because I am somewhat of a liberal person, and that kind of shades my thinking.
I think we both are a little bit liberal people.
Yeah. But and there's other people who, this is one of the times I'd love to have the ability to have people call in because I'm sure there's people out there who would love to argue the other side of this.
100%. I could not agree with you more on that.
But unfortunately for those people, this is my show, and I do what I want.
Well, this is our show, you mean?
Yeah, it's our show, and we do what we want.
Yes.
But the point being that, and this is just how I feel. That's what I'm trying to get to. These are my thoughts, my opinions. This isn't like the Ohio Media School saying this, This is me saying this. So Rittenhouse is now 18. He's facing these charges of first-degree reckless homicide, a first-degree intentional homicide, and attempted first-degree intentional homicide, because the third person he shot actually didn't die. I forgot. He ended up shooting him in the biceps, and he survived. And there was also 2 other people who got injured that night in a lesser way from, like, projectiles that ended up getting some charges with assault because of that. If found guilty and convicted of all charges, he faces a mandatory life sentence, but already it's looking like that's not going to happen. The governor of Illinois has called in 500 National Guardsmen to be around the courthouse when the verdict's read because they're that worried that another riot's going to happen. So you can kind of see what way this is going, I feel like.
Yeah. Do you feel, you were talking about how you think the judge is inserting himself, or themselves, I should say, too much into the case. Is that a common thing?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Especially in cases like this. This is a very politically oriented case. I mean, if it's a cut and dried case with, like, somebody like me who obviously did something illegal, then no, not so much. A lot of times the judge is just there, like, almost as a like an assistant or a secretary, almost like just there to sign papers. Things get decided between the lawyers and plea deals. But in a case like this, where it's very much in the spotlight, and this dude, like, the judge, I forget his name off the top of my head, but the judge has said before that he has ambitions to run for office in the future as a senator. So that kind of explains some of this too. The cameras are on him, and he knows that. So he's trying to, like, win the conservative majority, the Donald Trump people. He wants their support.
Right. Oh, so he's clearly on that side of the aisle.
I mean, from what it looks like, and again, I got to be careful because it's not like he's come out and said it, but he's acted like it. And at one point, his cell phone went off, and it was actually, his ringtone was the same music that plays when Donald Trump walks out for his rallies. So that was a little bizarre. But
yeah, that does sound a little bizarre. I get that.
And then just some of the things he's done, like he's ruled a lot against the prosecution on letting them bring in kinds of evidence, and he's been almost nice to the defendant during this, and I can say that's very odd. I mean, normally judges kind of treat you like dirt. And speaking of being treated like dirt and racist dirt bags, it all kind of goes together.
Yes, it does.
Proud Boys, do you know who these guys are?
Yes, I've heard of Proud Boys.
Yeah, it's like a conservative. Some people will tell you they're racist. They will say they're not. That's kind of weird because the guy who is the head of this, who we're about to talk about, Henry Enrique Terrio, is actually a Hispanic dude. But most people will tell you that they're racist against black people and just very right-wing. And they've been involved in a lot of these protests in, like, the BLM situations. Well, the Proud Boys leader, Henry Terrio, actually ended up in jail. And it's a misconception. A lot of people think he ended up in jail because of the January 6th riots. That's actually not true. He was arrested 2 days before that on a warrant, and he was dumb enough to have a gun on him and 2 pieces of, like, magazine cartridges that had stamps on them that said Proud Boys. And I've said this so many times, like, stop self-advertising your crimes, please.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at an article from NBC News, and it says D.C. Superior Court Judge Jonathan Pittman said Monday he would rule by the end of the week on whether to reduce Proud Boys chairman Henry Enrique Terrio's sentence to 90 days. But the judge struck a consistently skeptical tone that left Terrio testifying by video from jail, visibly slumped in frustration.
Yeah, he was eventually sentenced to 5 months in jail, and the whole issue now is he's trying to complain. And he actually, like, him going to jail was drug out quite a while because he was sentenced back in January, and they didn't make him go to jail until recently. So he's already, like, was being treated differently than other defendants are. So many times when I went to jail, I wasn't even given a bail. I sat in jail for 6 months till we went to court and figured out what was happening. And that's usually what people of lesser means with less money end up having to do. But anyways, this dude is complaining that the jail conditions are so bad. And I got to, like, point out two different things about this because, A, he's actually right. Jail conditions are ridiculously bad, and in this country, we treat our criminals kind of crappy. And a quote I've always liked is, if you want to know a lot about a nation, look at how they treat their prisoners. And for America, that doesn't say a whole lot.
I have never thought about it like
unfortunately. And a lot of people will argue, well, we shouldn't be taking care of them. And there's an argument to be made that there are some people who are just broken and you can't fix them. But then there are other people like me who make mistakes and end up in a position where you're in a place like that. So yes, he is completely right about how bad conditions are, but he's already, I feel like, been treated differently, like in the situation with getting bail, and just in general, like, he's in the same jail that anybody else would have to go to. So if it's bad for him, and if they're gonna, let him out early, which it doesn't really sound like they're going to, but if they did, then they should let out everybody early.
I agree.
And that's the point I'm trying to make, that, like, this is, yes, it's an issue, but it's an issue across the line. He's trying to say that, like, oh, people are picking on him because of who he is, and he says that his cell is regularly flooded with dirty toilet water. That's just called jail. I was in the Wayne County Jail here way too many times, and jails, because of how they're built and all the people in them, have horrible plumbing issues. Man, my toilet used to overflow like at least 3 times a week. And then he makes another mention about how an inmate had a seizure and no guards came to help him for a half hour. Again, that's normal. When you're inside a pod, a lot of times you won't even have a guard around. They stay like outside and watch by camera, So they might not even notice things going on. Sometimes that's one of the scariest thoughts. Like, if you have a heart attack, you're probably going to die in jail because nobody's going to get you help.
That sounds awful.
And it goes on and on with this, and we're going to have to see what actually happens. But I just think it's interesting that this dude, I'm usually not the one to say this, but just because of who it is, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I almost want to just say, you did the crime. Guess you're going to have to do the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that expression before.
But as far as the conditions go, it's an issue across the board.
Oh, 100%.
And somebody else who's going to be seeing the inside of jail soon. We're running late on this segment, too, and it's my fault this time. We just have a lot to talk about today, so we might run a little late.
And we are we are being way more conversational than what I feel like.
Yeah, I'm in a good mood today. I don't know why. It's a nice day. I've slept well the past couple days. I'm in a good mood.
That's good.
But this last story, this guy is not in a good mood, and he's going to be sitting in jail for a while as an allegedly intoxicated paramedic in Georgia killed his patient after crashing an ambulance. I know, and you don't want to laugh. You just laughed. But
I know.
And it's sad, though. I get where you laugh, though. It's sad that somebody passed, but it is ironic. And, like, when you get into an ambulance, have you ever been in an ambulance?
Yes, I have.
I've ran in an ambulance a few times, and you expect to be taken care of, right? You expect at the bare minimum to get to the hospital safe. You put your life in the hands of these people, and then somebody behaves like this. Kevin McCorvey, who is 34 years old, is now accused of flipping the non-emergency ambulance that he was driving when he crashed into a ditch just outside of Atlanta. The crash killed his patient, who was a 66-year-old dialysis patient who was unrestrained in the back. Cops who responded to the wreck said that McCorvey and the other paramedic were still trying to revive the patient in the overturned ambulance when they showed up. And as they pulled away, McCorvey and started talking to him, they noted that he smelled of alcohol and allegedly admitted to drinking a beer while driving the ambulance, and also said that earlier in the day he may have smoked a little weed and probably taken some Adderall.
Okay, I apologize for laughing a little bit.
I mean, it's sad that the guy passed.
Yeah, it's sad that the guy passed.
But wow.
But, like, how stupid can you be?
And look, I'm somebody who, I'm really open and honest about this. I have a medical marijuana card. I use marijuana, and I try to use it in a way that I feel like is conducive to my life. But then there's people who use it stupidly, and there's people who make a bad name. And when people, like, this is the reason that marijuana isn't legal yet, because the stupid people like this who get high and do dumb stuff. And then he was drinking while he's driving the ambulance. Bro.
Like, could you be in any worse of a position?
At any point, don't you just see yourself in the mirror? Like, there's a rear view mirror right there, and as you're popping open your beer, and you see this picture of yourself in an ambulance with the patient in the back drinking a beer, I just feel like a part in your brain would say, maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, you would think like the smart part.
The smart part?
Yeah.
the thymus?
Thymus gland.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but anyways. I like the smart part.
Yes, I'm going to go with the smart part. That's a new thing. Yeah, the smart part would be like, excuse me, is anyone home? This is not a good idea.
Yeah, maybe put the beer away and just wait until after your shift is over. That's all I got to say. Just wait until you get home.
And here's another thing. Why was the patient unrestrained?
Well, obviously they weren't paying attention. You know, they had other concerns. I'll put it that way. We're going to take a break finally. This time you're going to listen to a band called Hey Captain Knight do She's the Girl. When we come back, we're going to be talking local news, including a situation where the Guardians had their merchandise delayed. And there's actually an update on that I need to read during the break. It just came out. That apparently there's been progress in the court case. But another story I have involves a Medina County teen who is one of 20 people who was recently arrested for getting himself in trouble. And the way he got himself in trouble is pretty interesting. We'll talk about that when we come back. And then later on, when we end the show, I have some from military.com. I found this kind of interesting. 6 wild U.S. government theories explained. And I thought it was interesting just because of the source.
Ooh, I'm excited about this one.
So we have all that. Make sure you stick around, and we will be
right back.
You're listening to Split View, and we will be right back.
Tired of that boring old bubblegum pop garbage you hear on the radio? Tune in to NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with you.
Already shattered with the pain inside of your head. I never tried to find a girl. You just have to let it fall in your lap. She said that I wanna bury you in my heart. Please don't ever let this feeling go away. She said that I wanna marry you, but I'm drawn back. Right then I get pushed aside. Right then I realized that she's the girl that I always want. She's the girl that she's the girl that I always want. She's the girl that she's the girl. Hang a banner higher than a fighter. Show 'em what you got for display. Yeah, it's not the greatest, let's run around naked. Everyone will give you a hand. Don't you think about being sad? You just have to leave that up to them. She said that I wanna bury you in my heart. Please don't ever let this feeling go away. She said that I wanna marry you, but I'm drawn back. Right then I get pushed aside. Right then I realize that she's the girl that I always want. She's the girl that that I wanna bury you in my heart. Please don't ever let this feeling go away. She said that I wanna marry you, but I'm drawn back.
welcome back to Split View with Kramer and Josh.
Hello and welcome back to Split View on this Tuesday, which I had to figure out what day it was. It is Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yes, Tuesday.
Yes, if it was Wednesday, we would be in All Sports Cleveland.
I thought it was Friday for a minute, so I'm not sure where my head's at. But
maybe your head's in the clouds.
you know who else didn't know exactly where their head was at? Whoever made the decision to change the name of the Cleveland baseball team to the Guardians and didn't check first to see if anybody else had that name.
Right.
We've talked about this before in our sports show, but never brought it over here. But
no, I think we did talk about it.
We might have done it once or twice. I'm not sure. Honestly, it all kind of mixes together in my head.
I'll let you go with it. It's fine.
But you had a story, and I'll kind of let you start, and I want you to talk a little bit about your story, and then I have a follow-up for it.
Right. So, it seems like the Guardians roller name dispute has been resolved. Both teams will be able to use the name. So, yeah.
Yeah, but there was an issue originally that you sent me over the weekend that was saying before this there was an issue with the merchandise, and they actually had to delay the merchandise.
Right, they had to delay the merchandise. I'm actually trying to find the story now. Yeah, they had to delay the merchandise, and I think it's because of this court case.
Well, yeah, and for me, this all just goes back to the silliness of not checking before they made this decision. And the whole issue is that the Cleveland Indians, I'll say at one time, a team that has been here for so many years, wanted to change their name, needed to change their name. So they decided to go with the Cleveland Guardians, but unfortunately, there is already a Cleveland Guardians roller derby team. And this roller derby team filed suit all the way back in October 27th, seeking to stop the baseball franchise to use the name. And part of this lawsuit was, as you described it, actually put a halt to the merchandise, which so many people are already waiting to get Guardians merchandise. That's going to be a big deal.
I don't know if people are as excited as you think, because that logo...
I think more people than you think will get it, though, just because it's a new name.
That could be, too.
But the other thing that's going to happen is that the old apparel and the old jersey is also kind of going to become a collector's item.
I could not agree with you more. Like, anything that says Indians, yeah, I'll say
you need to hang on to it.
Yeah, you need to hang on to, because that could get you, like, what, like $200?
Easily. Ben, you need to, it depends on how long you save it. I mean, 30, 40 years from now, who knows? And the reason I try not to keep saying that name is just because I'm trying to get it in my head that they're called the Cleveland Guardians. I know that some people take offense to it. Frankly, we didn't name them that, and it was their own fault for naming them that. And I agree that they should change their name, and I'm glad they have it. I'm just trying to get it in my head, though, because it's hard. Like, to this day, when I talk about them, I still call them the Indians a lot without thinking about it. So I try to say the Guardians now.
How long do you think it'll take you?
At least a season, like a whole season.
Okay.
Minimum.
That totally makes sense, actually.
But yeah, we have this story slated, and as I came in, I saw this update, which is that the Cleveland Guardians have finally got this figured out. They came to an agreement that is going to basically reach an amicable resolution with the local roller derby team. It's going to let them both use the name. The terms of the agreement were just announced today, and it says that basically they're just going to keep both using it, so the merchandise can go forward. You can expect the merchandise to come out in the next couple weeks, so that's pretty cool. And it actually has a picture here of, some of the designs for some of the early shirts. And I see what you're saying, but I still feel like people are going to buy them.
Okay. I just feel like people are going to be turned off because there was not a good reaction to that. To the name, I think, had mixed reactions. I don't know if you felt the same way. But
I agree with what you're saying.
But I feel like when people saw that logo, they were just like, what? As
far as the name goes, I feel like no matter what they changed it to, certain people were going to have an issue.
Oh,
so many people just wanted it to stay the same, you know?
Right, but given the current social climate and all that, you couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But...
You all right over there?
Yeah, I got like half a burp going on, trying to avoid getting it in the mic. And we actually have new microphones here. Normally I'm complaining during the show about my microphones messing up, but we got really cool new microphones.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, so the merchandise is going to start going out. Let me ask you this. Are you going to buy some Cleveland Guardians merchandise?
I think eventually I will. I think I'm kind of like you where it will take me a little bit of time. Like, I already had the idea that they were going to be called the Guardians, but completely different reason from...
Yeah, I don't understand that. It's not even so much that the name bothers me. It's the reason they give.
Yeah.
And what they say, if I'm correct, is that it's because of the Guardians of Traffic statue.
Yeah, on some bridge. I don't even remember what bridge it is.
Apparently, it's fairly close to the stadium.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know it was a thing.
Neither did I. So it's like, wait, your name comes from a statue? What statue? I don't know.
Yeah, some statue. Even like there's things in Cleveland architectural designs that are more prominent than that. Like the stupid free stamp thing.
Yeah.
You could have called them the Cleveland Free Stamps. And that at least would have made more sense to me.
I love that name, the Cleveland Free Stamps.
Free Stamps. Yeah, but again, I don't get it.
I hope that if they had used that name, they would have done some like write a letter promotion.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, my reasoning for why they should have gone with the name Guardians is because Progressive Field and Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse are only separated by the Gateway District downtown.
Yeah.
And because, like, the primary tenant at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the name Cavaliers has to do with, like, defending and, swords and that type of stuff, I'm like, okay, the Indians should do something along the same lines. How about Guardians?
That would be cool, too. I didn't think about that until you just brought it up, but it would have been cool to me if they would have worked with the Cavs on something almost similar, because you've never seen that before, to where a city has a basketball team and a baseball team, and they kind of, like, merge things together. So, like, maybe a similar logo to the Cavs.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, well, at this point on the ride up here, I decided what my thing. I think this is what they should do. Go ahead and scrap the name and call them the Cleveland whatchamacallums. And I think that fits our current mascot as well.
I'm giving you a round of applause on that one.
Yep, the Cleveland whatchamacallums with their mascot. We don't know what he is.
I don't know if Slider is a boy or a girl.
He's an alien. Or it's an alien. I'm not sure. They.
Who knows?
They are an alien. Somebody got a call today in Medina. Police department in Medina got a call today from the Los Angeles Police Department, which was pretty strange.
That is really bizarre.
You wouldn't think living in Medina that you'd be getting a call from LA, so I'm sure they picked that phone up pretty quick. Well, the call was to inform them that there was a warrant out and they were going to have to go make an arrest because an Ohio teen in Medina was linked to a group of that was responsible for more than 30 nationwide bomb threats. And this all has to do with an incident called swatting. Now, have you ever heard of this? It exists kind of in the world of cyber, like internet people. Swatting.
Never heard of it.
Have you heard of SWAT teams? SWAT, like with the police.
Yes, I have.
So what people will do if they don't like you and they want to get some revenge on you, they will call the police and say, so-and-so So Kramer at this address has weapons and he's planning to do some bad stuff. I'm not going to say it all over the air, but make it real believable. And get the SWAT team to show up at your house. Because to a certain point, if they think you're a threat, they don't just come knocking on your door like do. No, they will come busting into your door, knock your door down, guns drawn. And the whole point is just to get you freaked out because you're sitting there like, what the heck's going on? And it's dangerous, though, because there's actually been multiple cases where people have gotten killed during this. Because it's confusing, right? If you have done nothing wrong, and all of a sudden the cops are kicking in your door, who knows what you're going to do? You might not think it's the cops. So people do things like punch them or try to push them away and then end up getting shot. And it's all because somebody played a prank. That's what this all has to do with.
Good Lord, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around all of that. And
So this group, they say that the group was operating on Discord, the chat platform.
Oh, yeah, I use Discord with my buddies.
And that it consisted of 3 teens between the ages of 13 and 16. We had the one in Medina. The other was actually in New York, Yonkers, New York. And then a third who was a U.S. citizen living overseas in Cyprus. But the investigation shows they were allegedly using advanced software, overseas servers, and other privacy tools like that to hide who they were and make phone calls. One was a bomb threat at the Highland High School in Medina County. I think we actually reported on this. This came from October of last... No, I guess I wouldn't have been... When did we start school?
March 2020.
It was 2020, right? No, it was 21. Yeah, it had to be 21 because it was this year.
Yeah.
I was confused for a second, too.
Yeah. What am I talking about? March 2020.
Dude, it's almost 2022. You know how crazy that is? I still think it's 2020 sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, this happened October 2020, last year. The LAPD said the teens were targeting other online people people they were playing video games with, and also just people they didn't like in general. They also say that they believe some of the incidents were racially motivated, and they ended up today, this afternoon, going in and performing a search warrant on the houses of the teenager and taking out several pieces of electronic equipment. So that kid's in trouble.
Yeah.
You think he's grounded?
Yeah. More than grounded.
He's probably going to have to pay for a new door because I guarantee you they knocked his door down.
100%.
Last but not least, I'm starting to lose my voice. Ohio is getting an $808 million settlement in an opioid case to get funds that are supposed to go towards life-saving tactics for addicts. I thought this was pretty cool. What are you laughing about over there?
Right? So Brian just texted us. He just wrote, I don't know if I can say this on the air, so I'm going to save it for off air.
All right. Well, you can tell me during the break and I'll decide. But Ohio is going to be receiving this money to put into harm reduction tactics. I think this is really cool. More and more addicts are stigmatized, and I think more programs like this need to come to help people.
I agree.
With that being said, though, we're going to take our last break, and you will be listening this time to Salt Hill do a song called Elegy. When we come back, it'll be our final segment, which means it's time for some conspiracy theories, and we will be
right back.
You're listening to Split View, and we will be right back.
Do you want to be on the radio or TV? Do you want a career in broadcasting? Then the Ohio Media School is for you. We have a hands-on course that is taught by broadcast professionals that are already working in the field. The Ohio Media School has 7 different campuses that you can choose from. We also include 160 extern hours that you get from working at a real-life local radio or TV station. We also have 2 internet radio stations on campus operated by students. Once you graduate and receive your diploma, yes, it is a diploma program. We have career placement assistants to help you build your resume and help you find your first job in the broadcasting industry. For more information, call 216-503-5900. Again, that number is 216-503-5900 or go to beonair.com. That is beonair.com. The Ohio Media School, where broadcasting careers begin.
Welcome back to Split View with Kramer and Josh.
Hello and welcome back to Split View. And just for anybody that was waiting with bated breath, what our friend said was that, and this is, we gotta attribute it to who it goes to, so shout out to old Brian out there. But Brian says that he thinks Slider looks like an alien with warts of a nether region.
Yes.
Yes, that's the best way we can say it. But let's just say that they're warts where you don't want warts, and I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see it too. So we can say that's almost like a conspiracy theory, kind of like we like to talk about here at the end of the show, huh?
I would agree.
Welcome to the Kramer Files, where each week we pick a different conspiracy and then tear it apart with our split views. Now, with no further ado, let's get to the Kramer File.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun.
Yes, this is the Kramer Files. We end off our show every week, Josh and I do, by talking about different conspiracy theories. As I was looking one up today, I went to Google and I typed in World War II conspiracy theories. And it was because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately on World War II stuff. And it just
How come?
I find history interesting. I always have. And that was those years were just some of the craziest years. I've been learning about World War II since I was 12 or 13, real interested in it, and there's still things I learned that are new. I didn't know, I just found out yesterday that at the end of the war, Germany actually had rockets, V-2 rockets, that they were able to shoot from Germany to Britain that killed thousands of people. It was one of Hitler's last-ditch efforts to try to win the war, but it didn't work because before they were really able to put these into mass use, they had already lost the war. But they did have the technology, and the same technology would eventually be used in America to help us get to the moon. So a lot of that stuff's interesting to me.
That is fascinating, actually.
But as I was looking all this up, I came across military.com. And this is a site run by the U.S. government that tries to get people to join the military and talks about military life and news. But it also had, under American military history, 6 wild U.S. government conspiracy theories explained. Basically, they take what they think are the 6 biggest conspiracy theories and explain them on here. And I thought this was interesting because normally we use, sources I find that are maybe more like-minded to people like conspiracy theorists. So I guess what I'm getting at is they might not be impartial judges of the situations. And I thought it was, from a military person, it'd be interesting to think what they think are conspiracy theories. You look like you're going through it over there, John.
No, it's just I'm cleaning my glasses at the moment.
Okay. Well, number 1, jump right into her. The U.S. helped Hitler escape Germany. Now, this has a lot to do with what I was just talking about. That after World War II, there were a lot of Nazi scientists and different Nazi politicians who, during Operation Paperclip, which is a real CIA operation that was declassified in the 90s, they brought over certain Nazis to America to let them work with the CIA. Normally, they were people who were working in the German space program. because they wanted their information, they wanted their knowledge to put it into NASA.
Okay.
Because of this, some people think that the body that was found outside Hitler's bunker was actually a fake and a body double, and that Americans actually brought him over during paperclip. The issue with this, though, is that they actually had a reason to want the German scientist. They had knowledge that the Americans wanted. What would the Americans want Hitler for? I mean, other than like to put him on trial or something, but that would have been public.
Yeah, that would have been 100% public.
Anyway, I have a hard time believing it anyways, but this site goes on to point out that studies have since shown that they have done DNA tests on the body that was discovered by the Red Army, and it was in fact Hitler's. The next one, though, is one I hear about. Not just, this has a different spin on it, but I hear this in a lot of different conspiracy theories, and that's fluoride in the water. Now, do you know our water, our drinking water, has a chemical called fluoride in it?
Yes, I do. Or fluorine.
Fluorine, and it's put in there, and it's supposed to help your teeth grow stronger.
Yeah, it's put in a lot of toothpaste.
It's also in a lot of toothpaste. Now, some countries don't put it in their water. Most third or first world countries, like big superpowers, United States, such, we do to try to help people's teeth. And a lot of people have theories about this. Some things I've heard people say it causes autism. I've heard people say, and I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying that's one of the conspiracy theories people have said.
Okay, I've heard like conspiracy theories about different things causing autism, like vaccines and stuff, but I've never heard the one about fluorine causing
There are some
autism.
people who believe it, but this one's new. Fluoride in water is a communist plot. This
What?
one, it takes it a little farther. They say that whether or not water fluoridation is a good or bad thing, the idea of adding fluoride to water supplies started kicking around in the years after, you guessed it, World War II, which made a lot of people think that it was possible that the government was destroying precious bodily fluids and leaving the U.S. weak and ready for a communist takeover. Another theory about it says that fluoride makes Americans apathetic, which, if you've seen us over the past 20 years, makes not that much sense because we're all trying to kill each other all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fluoride in the water, man. They're trying to get you.
Yeah, clearly.
Number 3, I think this is the one that I believe in out of any conspiracy more than any other.
All right, let's hear it.
The CIA assassinated John F. Kennedy.
Oh, it goes back to the whole Kennedy assassination.
And we've talked about this before.
We have.
I found out something new, though, the other day on one of my YouTube videos I thought was real interesting, and afterwards I went and I looked it up and read about it on, like, CNN and some other sites, because I like to check this stuff. Just because somebody says something on YouTube doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly.
So I looked it up, but this is actually true.
This coming from a YouTuber yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then let me tell you, I'm not always telling you the truth. But anyways, I looked it up. The day that JFK was killed, that morning, there was actually a woman who called the FBI and told them that JFK was going to get assassinated that morning at 10:30. Later, she called and changed it. She said, no, it's going to be an hour later, but you need to do something because at 11:30, JFK is going to get assassinated. People who took the call thought it was a prank. They get calls like this all the time. They kind of blew it off. Obviously, JFK was shot that day. One of the strange things, though, is that originally he was scheduled to do his drive through Dallas at 10:30 in the morning. It was postponed last minute by an hour because of the weather. So it's almost like somebody who knew some things, was on the inside, was trying to warn people.
Right. Whoa. I mean, I don't want to give my definitive opinion. I want to research it, but
it's just interesting to look into. I'll put it that way.
But the one part of the JFK conspiracy theory, I guess I could believe in, and not to get too far off track.
No, you're fine.
But the one part I would believe is that the possible two-shot theory, that there was more than one shot that came at different angles.
And there's just so many questions about that. Like, the angle of the shooting bothers me. The call before bothers me. The fact that Jack Ruby, who ended up killing the assassin, was a known CIA agent bothers me. And this is stuff that's been declassified and admitted to by the government. So if the government's admitted this stuff, what stuff are they not telling us?
Right, there are still a ton of question marks.
I've gotten some more text from Brian. He also said that people speculate Hitler may have escaped by submarine to Antarctica or Argentina. I've heard both of those. There was actually a Nazi base on Antarctica during the war. They had a base down there that they used to try to figure out weather patterns in Russia for the invasion. So that's one of the reasons that was heavily propagated. And another thing people believe is that fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. The pineal gland is a part of your brain that actually releases natural DMT, which is like a feel-good drug into your body. And some people believe that it calcifies that. And I'm really simplifying this, but that's like the simplest way to put it.
Isn't it also that, if I remember correctly, when you go to the dentist, they clean your teeth with fluorine?
Yeah, but the worry isn't so much what it is, but how much we're taking into our bodies. Because you're drinking water every day, and then you're brushing your teeth on top of that, so you're taking a lot of fluoride into your body. So that's where a lot of these theories come from. And apparently, Brian's just a conspiracy theory nerd, because he went on to say that JFK wanted to dismantle the Federal Reserve. That's why people wanted him dead. So apparently, he knows a thing or two about conspiracy theories. We're going to have to bring him in here one day. Anywho, next up, the moon landing was faked. We've talked about this.
Okay, I'm alright saying, forget that one. It was not faked.
So you are very much not a believer in this one.
Absolutely not. No.
I'm kind of indifferent. I don't think it was faked, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's not something I would put past the government.
I would be so mad and angry if it comes out. Yeah, we did fake the moon landing. I'd be like, I supported NASA and all this stuff, and you come out and do that.
Well, a little note on that, whatever you do, don't mention it to Buzz Aldrin if you ever meet him. The last time somebody tried to ask him about it, he punched him in the face.
I know I shouldn't be laughing about it, but it's funny at the same time.
The weirdest thing to me, though, is that one thing that's 100% true is that NASA so-called accidentally erased all the original tapes of the mission. And when it comes to things like that, it's hard for me. Okay, I know that the government are people and they make stupid mistakes, but that's above a mistake. That's history. How do you just lose that?
Right, and then Brian just texted us again, and he says, if you call your, going back to the whole fluoride thing, I don't know why he's obsessed with this right now, but he says, if you call your local, I read it, nice response, but he said, if you call your local water department or bottling company, they will tell you the exact amount of fluoride in the water. They're required by law. Makes you wonder.
It's actually quite a bit, too. Oh, and kind of going off that same theory, number 5, 2 more and then we're out of here. But number 5, chemtrails, which we've talked about before, are used to control the population. Now, the government's position on this would be that those are condensation trails that you see in the sky whenever an airplane comes by. They call them contrails. But some people believe that there are chemicals in those trails, and that when jets reach cruising altitude and this combination of temperature, exhaust particles, and water vapor forms these contrails, people think that's actually chemicals that are somehow involved with weather modification programs or one thing that's been said is that maybe they were putting out saltpeter, which is often brought up as something that supposedly can lessen people's sexual appetites.
Saltpeter?
Yeah, it's a real thing. People in jail used to always have the theory of they're putting that in our water, but it's supposed to make you not want to have sex.
I wonder how people named Peter feel about that.
Salty. And number 6, this one is the least believable, but my favorite one of all time. We're going to have to do a whole segment on just this one time.
All right.
Birds aren't real.
What?
You've never heard of this?
No.
Yeah, this is all over social media, Facebook, whatnot. It's actually, the Birds Aren't Real movement has been around since 1976. And like many great conspiracy theories, they kind of bring together a bunch of different ones to form this one central idea, saying that the CIA uses chemtrails to kill all the live birds in the country in an operation called Water the Country, and that they were then replaced with drones built at Area 51 to watch people and monitor their behavior. And that was the reason for the secrecy at Area 51. They then go on to tie it into the Kennedy assassination, saying they believe Kennedy was assassinated because he refused to implement the bird watching program, and finish off by saying that the engineers who built the birds were sent to Vietnam and were captured by the Viet Cong. I love it.
That conspiracy theory is so... That conspiracy theory is so all over the place. No.
BirdsAren'tReal.com. That's where I'm going to end it off on. It is a real website. If you have nothing else to do and you are next to an internet-capable machine, type it in right now. BirdsAren'tReal.com.
What? Then what are penguins and ostriches?
Birds aren't real. All right, this is SplitView, and it's been real. It's been fun. We went so over. We've ended up going like an hour, 20 minutes, but we were having fun.
Hey, this is what arguably... This is my favorite episode of SplitView that we've done.
So we are on our way out of here. We will be back next Tuesday. And also make sure to catch So What's the Catch tomorrow on All Sports Cleveland. You go to the same website, you click Listen Live, and you go to the All Sports Cleveland studios. And we're going to be talking about the Browns, I'm sure.
So What's the Catch also has its own YouTube channel now. We should do that for SplitView. We should do a SplitView YouTube channel.
Hey, man, you're here every day. You can do whatever you want. Anyways, we will be back next week talking about all the news and everything that's going on. Check us out tomorrow if you can. Definitely hit the So What's the Catch YouTube and watch some of the old stuff. Go to Unger to the Max. Check out Kramer Radio and Productions on YouTube. All that good stuff. If you have anything you want to tell us, hit us up on splitview216@gmail.com. Josh, you got anything else?
Hope to see you or hear from you tomorrow.
Yep. And I'm going to play one more song, and this one just kind of fits my overall feeling of life. It's by a band called Indica. I just love that name. Indica doing a song called Made in the Land. And we will be back. So for now, see ya.
See ya.
Bob your head, feel that beat, bob your head, feel that beat, bob your head, 1, 2, 3, 4, I was made in the land, was raised in the land, my city always been here, you're overlooking man, stand up and salute the troops that burn root, locked on target, without place in the market, driving down the center, getting waves, so what up, everybody know the steeds of your girl, so what up, get a ring on the celly, it's nice, so what up, but yo, you gotta show it ones with girls, so what up, gather up the crew, let them know what it do. Get the dog pound and symbol to add heat to the temple. Rolling bump an instrumental in the streets of the land. Beats, rhymes, and life, you know, you understand. My man's to fill you in on the pros and the cons. In the middle of the combo, it might let you hit the bomb. But that's only after business is assessed. Cause I don't need no crooks with no mess. Still in my fresh. Oh yes, now I feel it in my body. And because she your girl, come to rock it at a party. Walking in the door, me, myself, and more. Or you're making me pay, I get that back for sure. I know who I be, so I plays the back. Better seen than heard, till I damage all that. Smirk to the grill as my time finally sparks. I tear to the part, or dripping blood from my heart. I tear it apart, or dripping blood from my heart. Y'all know tear to the part, my time not spark. I was made in the land, was raised in the land. My city always been here, you're overlooking man. Stand up and salute the troops that burn root. Locked on target, without place in the market. I was made in the land, raised in the land. My city always been here, you're overlooking man. Stand up and salute the troops that burn root. Locked on target, without place in the market. Stand around my side, politic and debate. When the cut gon' stand straight and laugh at the hate. Roll bounce over there, breaking plates with those who have the 8. Got cases of plates and pulling knives out my waist. Open-minded traits and respect you lack. Of those who held their gate, been continuous weight. So showing of identity is very official. My muscles getting tired, telling y'all it's official. So daughters grab the tissue, overlooking is the issue. Not taking no prisoners, screaming in the ears of listeners. So blow it out your ass if you choose to abuse. The good news from a few that's well enthused. To grab it, bless it, hold it and stroke it. My anger provoked it, your girl is focused. Yeah, you heard me. Your girl is focused. One time, two times, for your mind, nigga. I was made in the land, was raised in the land. My city always been here, you're overlooking man. Stand up and salute the troops that burn root. Locked on target, without place in the market. Made in the land, raised in the land. My city always been here, you're overlooking man. Stand up and salute the troops that burn root. Locked on target, without place in the market. I was made in a, raised in a. My city always, you're overlooking. Stand up and salute the troops that burn root. Locked on target, without place in the market. Yo, without place in the market. I indeed, what you need, what you need, what you got. This girl rock, non-stop. Made in the land, baby. What it do?
This has been a presentation of the Ohio Media School.
Jam, man. Work it. Turn the whole thing.
NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with you.